and I'm actually really surprised at all sorts of debris. We're just gonna have to get rid of that. Looks like it survived and it's just doing its thing now. What is this thing? It's delicious. We're gonna do a post-Hurricane Helene walkthrough of the garden. And I'm actually really surprised and happy about how well everything survived. I wanted to kind of give props to this garden design first, because when I looked out here during the rainstorm, all of the walkways were like full of water, but the garden beds didn't get flooded. And I think that really helped the plants survive. Everything that was like over a foot tall got like knocked over but not broken. So like the pepper was leaning very heavily. I mean, these peppers survived. Everything is still growing really well. All of the broccolis here were like leaning, but I was able to kind of smush them down and make them stand up again, and they look like they're doing great. And over here you can see I had planted some radishes right before the storm started on Thursday. They're all coming up, so it's very exciting that everything kind of survived. When it started raining, it was like we got over 12 inches, and it is insane, but this garden's well watered, which is great. So this is our bed of broccolis. We got a ton of broccoli here, and we have radishes in between. These are little snapdragons, so we're gonna have flowers in here, and you can see like little buds, and they're gonna come up, so that's gonna be really pretty all throughout here. Here we have our butter crunch lettuce and our romaine lettuce. I'm probably gonna pick these as like a cut and come method, which means like I pick the outer leaves and just leave that core in there, and then it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So, you know, we'll have lettuce until after the first frost probably, which is really cool and exciting. We have a ton of violets that are growing inside the garden bed, and I'm just not gonna fight the weeds. You know what I mean? Very minimal weeds considering. So we have the yarrow and the lavender over there. The raspberry bushes are still producing for the fall, which is really cool, but I had to pull them back up and stand them back up and stake them up so, you know, they're not falling over. Our parsley over here, check this out. Our parsley, we have the straight leaf and the curly. They're growing like crazy, so I'm probably gonna make a pasta today and put a bunch of parsley in it, because it's delicious and it's loving this weather. Our thyme is growing beautifully, and if you can see, we zoom into here, I planted sweet peas to grow along here. So what I'm probably gonna do today, actually, get rid of all these leaves and just kind of stop the growth of these tomatoes, and just let everything, because we have a ton of like baby tomatoes growing everywhere. So what we're gonna do is try to siphon all the energy into those baby tomatoes so that they have a chance to ripen. And I have a ton of caterpillar action on the leaves anyway. So we're just gonna have to get rid of that and clean this up so that when the sweet peas start vining up the trellis, we can, you know, they have space to grow. And then these baby cherries have a chance to ripen. So it looks like a mess, but you know, hopefully by the end of today I'll have that cleaned up. I planted a bunch of seeds right before the storm because I was like, oh yeah, we can have plants. So there's beets growing in here, and you can see there's already some that have popped up. So we have little beet shoots coming up, and so we'll have beets, which is awesome. And then our eggplants are still producing a ton. I'm gonna have to come back and like restake a lot of this stuff because everything's just kind of leaning over. I want to show you the okra, but I'm not really sure how you can see it from there. You can see it's still growing, producing a ton of okras. And I've been picking okras almost every single day. I've been giving them to neighbors, I've been giving them to everybody, and we still have a couple packs. But these, I'm really proud of them. They were leaning like crazy, but they did not break. And so what my plan was to plant sweet peas around the bottom and just use the okra plant as like a trellis. And so there's a bunch of little sweet pea shoots that have come up around the base of this okra. And this okra is about 10 feet tall. So they're gonna have some climbing space, which is awesome. And they have, you know, really, really thick stems. I'm gonna come out here later today and put some, stake them up. And probably remove some of the bottom leaves and stuff and put all the energy into the flowers at the top so we can get a little bit more production this year. There's a cardoon plant over here, which is kind of like a thistle, but you can eat the stalks. And I'm growing that as an experiment because I've never eaten those before. And so I'm really excited to taste that. And then our basil is growing really, really well. I'm just really happy with the production in this garden right now. Over here I have I don't know what this is called. It grows as a perennial, and I planted more around it, but I don't think it came up. I think you have to propagate this thing through like cuttings or by transplanting, because every time I try to plant seeds of this stuff, what is this thing? It's delicious. It has like a little sour taste to it. It's really good. Over here we got beets, and some of these beets look a little worse for wear. They got really, really beaten down by the rain, and there's a ton of, you know, violet weeds that are competing for their energy. So hopefully we'll get a few beets in this section. And then we have walking onions that I got from my mom that I planted out here. So we'll probably eat those for the greens more than anything. Right here we have carrots. You can't see it. They got all sorts of debris. You'll be all right, carrots. Oh, you see, these are carrots. And so we have carrots growing in here. In this whole bed, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rake up all of the acorns and all the debris, and then I'm gonna turn the soil with a hoe and plant garlic. I've had garlic, like planting garlic, soft neck garlic, in our fridge for the past like month and a half. So I think it's about time for it to be planted. So this whole entire bed is going to be planted out with garlic. I might leave a little space. I want to establish some asparagus somewhere in this garden, and asparagus is a perennial, so it just needs to find a spot and stay there because it will grow back every single year. So I might leave a little section where I can plant some asparagus. Over here we have some kale, and I planted like 4 of each type. You got the curly Russian kale, and then you got the, what is it, dragon? I don't remember. But anyway, a couple of them died because, you know, weather. Most of them survived. So hopefully pretty soon we'll have some kale. And we use the cut and come again method for picking kale as well. So what happens is I just pick off the outer leaves and just let the inside grow. So it'll just get bigger and bigger, and 2 plants is going to be enough to feed our family for, you know, weeks, which is going to be awesome. And then I have more beets, and they look very happy here. So this little section is probably going to produce some beets, which is awesome. And then I have Brussels sprouts growing here. We had some of the little green caterpillars in this section, and they kind of ate up some of them, but it looks like they've rallied. You know what I mean? So they'll be fine, they'll grow, and here in the next, few weeks, they're just going to start getting beautiful and large. And then we have Swiss chard over here. This is rainbow chard, and you eat that like a salad. It's got a little bite to it, which is fun. So lots of salad greens in our garden. Over here we have some cabbage. It looks like it's establishing very well. We did have some pest pressure on there for a while, but it looks like it survived and it's just doing its thing now. And over here, look how beautiful these carrots were. So I kind of planted, these about 3 weeks ago, and then I planted the others about a week ago. So, hopefully these will kind of mature at different times, and that way we'll have carrots to pick, over the course of however many months. Over here we are supposed to have purple cabbage, but to me it kind of looks like it's growing like a broccoli. So I don't know if like these 4 right here were mislabeled at the nursery or whatever, or it just might have a different growth habit. Hopefully it's going to be purple cabbage, but if not, we love broccoli, so we'll eat it. And then this is another type of cabbage, and these are growing beautifully. Over here we have a bunch of collards. And the collards, like a bunch of them snapped off. If you can see, it definitely got battered by the wind. And we had those little green caterpillars. And I didn't do anything to them, but it looks like the caterpillars went away. And so now everything's just growing again. And so all these new leaves are, they don't have a lot of bug damage on them, which is really cool. So we only lost 1 bok choy, but these bok choys are beautiful. And I think they're ready to be picked. And I'm probably going to do the same thing with these and just pick like the outer stems and just let them keep producing. That way we have bok choy for however long we can. Over here we got mustard greens, and these looked really sad on Friday after I came out of the thing, but it looks like they just sprung back up and they look happy and healthy again. Again, we had some bug issues, but it looks like the newest leaves that are coming up have no issues, so it's very exciting. Over here we have purple bok choy, and same thing. That one I planted a couple weeks after this one, and they look like they're growing beautifully. Over here I planted a bunch of spinach, and you can see little baby spinaches are coming up. And I planted transplants, and it looks like all of them died except for a couple. So that's a bummer. Lettuces don't like to be transplanted apparently. So now we know next time. I did plant some lettuces over there right before the storm, and nothing has come up yet. So we'll see what comes up. But I think I have it pretty much planted out. I got some onion sets. I couldn't find any in the nursery, so I went on Amazon and bought some. And the storm pushed back the delivery date until like October 1st, October 3rd. So we'll see when those arrive. But when those arrive, I'm going to plant them out on that row right there, and probably 3 side by side all the way back. And so we'll have a row of onions, and I like sweet onions, so that's what we're planting. So we still have garlic to plant, some asparagus, and the onions. Otherwise, we've planted out pretty much everything that we're going to plant in this garden for the fall and the winter, and it's very exciting. Okay, I'm going to show you my favorite part. So the flowers got a little battered during the rain and stuff like that, but I'm going to show you everything that's kind of growing. And I've been planting the past couple days because the ground is wet, and it's fantastic because I don't have to water it in. So so I just stick things in the ground and let them go and see what happens. So our elderberry is growing beautifully. Our turmeric is growing beautifully. This little guy, it's a brown-eyed Susan or a type of daisy or something like that. But this one got a little bit battered by the storm. Hopefully it survives. The mums got a little bit battered, but they should be all right. This little guy, I have no idea what he's called, but he's still blooming. Look. And it's really cool because when it's about to bloom, it's like a little lantern, like a little Chinese lantern, and it looks like a little bubble, and then it just opens up, and it's just so pretty. I love it. Anyway, but this is very exciting. So I planted saffron crocuses, you know, the spice saffron. I planted them on both sides of our walkway, and I was like, man, because this part of the ground here has standing water during rains, because everything just kind of collects there and goes into the drain. But anyway, so we have standing water here, and I was like, man, I hope our saffron survives. But I came out today, and look, we have little saffron shoots that are coming up, and these won't produce flowers until next fall. So we'll see. Hopefully we get some saffron this year. And so we can see it all the way up here, all the way over here. All of these came up, but I also planted some over here. Oh, look, babe, there's two right here. We got two. So we are gonna have saffron growing on both sides of our walkway. You know, and I didn't know if it was gonna come up, and I'm gonna just let them get established, and I'll move them around and kind of see if we can spread them, because I only got like 25 bulbs online. But yeah, maybe we'll have saffron spice, which is really cool. It's very expensive. And then our creeping phlox over here is very happy. Our black-eyed Susans are getting established over here. Our Lenten Rose is putting out a new shoot, which is really cool, because I didn't know if our Lenten Rose is going to survive, but it looks like it's finally happy here, so it's very exciting. And then it's some kind of a sunflower, but it's a perennial, and that one started blooming during the storm, which is really cool. It's very exciting. I planted out these pots, right? And so I have a hibiscus in here, and I have this little guy. I just thought it was really pretty, but I have no idea what it's called. But it started blooming this morning, look. It has little purple blooms on it, and I didn't even know that. But in here, the reason why it looks very sparse is because I planted begonia bulbs, and they just haven't come up yet. And so I'm starting to see that they might, because the ground is breaking up, but we'll see. I did plant some more begonias in pots out back, so if these don't come up, I'll just transplant some of the begonias from out back into these pots. And these will probably go into the house over the winter, because I don't think they will winter well. This right here is wild ginger, and so it's growing really well. And I thought this had died, but it's putting out new flowers. So I might just clean it up a little bit and have the little creeping guys. But yeah, it got battered by the storm pretty bad, but it's gonna survive, and it's really cool. Over here, we just planted a bunch of I planted some more mums because I want to establish some mums. I'm going to show you how my established mums look like, and they're really big and bushy, and so I think this area will just kind of fill up. I'm going to put little crocuses down by the front, and those are really short early spring flowers, and over there I'm going to plant some more bulbs for early spring. So that's going to be really pretty once everything here fills up. I'm going to move some of these primroses, which are like growing like crazy, and establish them around the shed out back, so they will grow really well. But you can't see, there's a lot of activity underneath. Oh, our milkweed, this is swamp milkweed, it's growing beautifully, and butterflies love this. And so this is gonna be a pollinator garden, and it's all perennial. It will have blooms from early spring until the end of fall, which is really exciting. Our and there's a bunch of like tea herbs in here as well that I'm trying to establish. So you got calendula over there, you got hyssop over there, and then you got coneflowers over here. There's another butterfly weed over there, and I planted a bunch of alliums over by the window, which is going to be really pretty. They have like big purple flowers like that. That's going to be really cool. I planted bulbs all throughout here, and so everything is just going to get established shortly. Let's see, there's foxglove, there's our coneflower has been growing like crazy, so those are going to have really beautiful blooms here shortly. And then I have little pansy seeds coming up. Watch out, we have ants, so don't step in that. But we have little pansies coming up, and this is lemon balm. This little guy was on the other side of the garden and he wasn't very happy, so I transplanted him here, and so I'll establish this little lemon balm section. You know, and then look at our cosmos. It's like it's a mess. It got really like whipped around by the wind and stuff like that, and so I pushed them back up and stuff like that. But look, it's reseeding itself like crazy. So we're gonna have cosmos here in spring, you know, even without planting new ones. So very cool. I got some more mums here, and then I planted some different types of bulbs in this section. So it's gonna look pretty cool in the spring once everything starts growing again. It's very exciting. Oh, let me show you how the one plant that we lost over here in our blueberry patch. Everything seemed to have survived pretty well, but our pineapple sage over here, you can see where it broke off. Look, it broke off over there, and so we have no more pineapple sage. I don't know if it's gonna send up shoots or if it's just gonna, you know, be gone and I have to replace it. But I'm kind of sad because I made tea with pineapple sage the other day and now I don't have any. Anyway, so we'll replace it with something. This tree and that tree were like leaning, like it was like almost sideways and stuff like that. But the rest of the trees were standing tall. And given the number of trees in the yard, I was actually really surprised how well they kind of survived. So all I did was pull it back up and I kind of pushed down the roots and it's standing. So I think I'll be fine. We'll have to prune this in the spring because we get some crossing and stuff like that. So I just planted a bunch of strawberries here and here, and I wasn't sure if they were gonna make it, but it looks like some of them have established runners. So this one right here, this is the mother plant, and it sent out a runner, and now there's a baby plant right there, and there's a couple of them that have done that. So that's how these plants spread. So here in the next couple of years we'll probably have this whole bed full of strawberries, which is very exciting. And then I planted our dwarf peach tree right here in this pot, and this pot was like full of water from the storm. So it looks like something's been digging in here. So I don't know. Hopefully the squirrels don't find this and start planting peanuts, because we'll probably have peanuts growing out of this pot. And this is a China doll plant, and I had that out in the flower bed, but then I read about it and it said that these grow up to 100 feet tall if you let them grow in the ground. So I moved it to this pot and it's not happy. So I don't know if it will survive. We'll see. That's our garden. Everything just survived beautifully through the storm. We didn't have power for 13 hours. It went off on Friday morning at 7 a.m. and we didn't get it back until about 8:30 that same night. But our neighbor was really sweet, and they have a generator, so they sent a cord over the fence so we could plug in our fridge, so we didn't lose anything. It was actually, you know, besides the kids being bored, not having internet still and all that stuff, it was actually a very enjoyable experience because we got to really get to know our neighbors. There's a tree that fell in our neighbor's yard right there, and it was covering the entire road, and so all of us came out here and helped chop up that tree and move it so we can get out of the cul-de-sac, which is really good. But considering how many trees and how many giant trees we have in this neighborhood, we came out of this pretty well unscathed. And there's still a lot of people out there without power. There's people that lost cars, lives, homes, all the things. So we feel very fortunate that we kind of walked away from this relatively unscathed. So we'll see. Yeah, I think this is probably best case scenario considering what we've been through, and I'm very thankful for that.